Hi everyone, today we have special guest and we are with GM Vasilios Kotronias. First of all, thank you for coming and thank you for supporting our project and YouTube channel. Actually, I have a book which is written by you in my library. And
apparently, yes.
And now you are here in order to shooting videos, and it's really emotional video for me. Again, thank you for coming. It's really good for us. And can you introduce yourself to our subscribers?
First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me. I'm Vasilios Kotronias. I'm a chess player and writer. In the past, I was for quite a while in the elite of chess. I was in the first 100 rated players, and I won 10 Greek championships. If it's enough, I don't know.
Of course.
Lately, I've been doing some book writing mainly, and I'm also playing from time to time. I was even trainer of national teams. I was trainer of both men's team, but this was maybe 10 years ago, and lately I was also trainer of the women's Greek national team, where it took place the tournament in Terme Chates in Slovenia, where they made a respectable appearance, and well, that's it. I would like to show you some games I've been playing lately in the Turkish city of Ayvalık in the Kaysa Hotel, which is run by my friend Suat Soylu. We played in the past also together. I mean, he was maybe same age like me. And I'm really thrilled that I'm in this show, and I expect to show you my games.
Okay, if you are ready, we can start.
Yes, the first game, actually all the games that I will show were played in this tournament in Ayvalık, but there were 4 tournaments in a row that I played. And the first game is against Serbian international master Benkovic. He's actually a quite talented player, and he's playing the Sicilian. He's an active player. So I was trying to prepare against him because he plays the Can variation, and this is a system that is very flexible. Well, let's try to see the game. I can't say that he fell inside my preparation. I think I was outside of the theory of my knowledge, I mean, after a few moves, but somehow I managed to get a decent position in the opening. So the game started with e4, c5, knight f3, e6, d4, he took, I took, a6. This is the Can variation. In my book that is concerning meeting these flexible Sicilians like the Taimanov or the Can or other systems that involve the move e6, I just recommended the move c4 here, but on this occasion I thought, well, that he may be well prepared for c4, and so I decided to go back to my old bishop d3 move, which is quite logical because you want to build the Marozzi formation in the center with c4 and e4, and then you control very well the b5 and the d5 squares. And of course you want to castle very quickly, which is something that you don't achieve with c4, then you have to spend some more time. So I prioritize first castling, and then we will see what happens. So knight f6, here he goes, I go, castles, d6, c4, bishop e7. These are all very natural opening moves. Knight c3, castles, queen e2. White wants to control b5 with as many pieces as possible, and now he's also himself being flexible. I mean, I don't know at the moment if I will play positionally or I will resort to some kingside attack, for example, with bishop d2, rook a, e1, f4, knight f3, and try to push e5, yes? So, okay, my opponent chose a positional path because in this moment he played knight c6. So he's attacking my knight on d4. And okay, this has its pros and cons. I mean, when you play with black knight c6, you are not playing a hedgehog essentially anymore, because You are not pressurizing the e4 pawn. So on the other hand, he is gaining a wide center, which is of course sometimes it's an advantage, but other times it's a burden. I mean, you don't find ways, I mean, to advance this pawn so easily, because for example, this happened, and now okay, the center, when it moves forward, it always has some disadvantage. I mean, if he tries to play d5, then I might saddle him at some point with an isolated pawn in the center. If he plays c5, he gets his bishop on maybe on the diagonal b7 towards g2 and h1 squares, but on the other hand, d6 is a backward pawn. So everything in chess has its pros and cons, and the advantage of the really strong player is to evaluate it in a way that the pros are more important than the cons. Yes. So okay, he played like this. This is the positional treatment. He gets a center, and now I have to try to contain this center. So I played b3, and I want to put my bishop on b2, and maybe I will try later rook 8 d1, bishop b1, rook d3, and bring my rook to the king side to try to attack him on g7 and h7. These pawns are really exposed in a way. I mean, when I have such powerful bishops on b2 and b1, and in combination with a rook lift, this can be somehow dangerous for black. But of course, I'm not playing on my own, so my opponent closed the diagonal with e5 already, and well, he's telling me if you play f4, then I will take it, I will put my knight on g4, and I will control the e5 square, and you're not having any attack, and you are left with an isolen in the center. So okay, I decided in this moment that things are getting really serious, and I have to be very careful. Actually, I didn't expect e5. I was expecting that he plays c5, and then I try to attack in a manner that we said. And so, okay, I played bishop b2. It's a developing move. Maybe I could play immediately c5 in this moment, but I decided that development is always better, so I didn't want to commit myself yet. And now he played a move which I hadn't seen at all. Here, I was expecting actually that he will play knight to d7. Well, the main tool in this position for white is to try to play c5 in a situation where black has to take dc5, and then I create weak doubled c pawns in his structure. White has to try to do this, but then black plays knight b6, and he exchanges one valuable piece that controls c5, and if I want to play c5 right now, then it means that I will also double I will also have doubled a pawns after ba4, and then it's not at all clear that I am better in this situation. So I think that probably he had to go for this knight d7, because okay, I mean, now he can perhaps not even take on c5, maybe he can play bishop e6, and he's also putting some pressure on my a2 pawn. Then he can get maybe later some play with the c pawn. If I take on d6, he can take with his bishop. And okay, it's of course, I control the c4 square, and I have some pressure against a6 myself, but things are not so clear because my pawns are now doubled. In the game, he went bishop g4. This is the position of the game. He went bishop g4. And I must say I was rather happy about this move, because it just helps me improve my queen now. I put it on c2. This is a good square for this positional structure, because when I will play c5, I want my queen already to be attacking this, the resulting doubled c pawns, yes? Yeah. So he went for a5. Maybe he thought I want to play b4, and it's a logical thought, because if white plays b4 and a4 and b5, he gets an outside passed pawn, and as we know, this is an advantage in chess, to have an outside passed pawn. And so he wants to contain me. Good thought. Knight a4, getting myself ready for the break with c5. And if black now plays c5, then the knight could very well retreat to c3, and I get the b5 square to put pressure on him, on his weak d6 pawn. So okay, he didn't do that. He played just queen c7.
It looks like he doesn't have certain plan to play on the king side or queen side or center, but you put your pieces correctly, and finally you will play f4 when you're ready, or c5.
Or c5, yes.
Yeah.
These are the essential breaks of the position. I'm just toying with these two possibilities, in fact.
But he played one move on the king side, bishop g4, which is not so good. I also agree with you. And then after he played a5, okay, it looks like he doesn't know how to play. What is the plan?
I would say that maybe he wanted to do this. Maybe he wanted to retreat the knight to d7 at some point, and then to bring the bishop back to play, either with f6, bishop h5, bishop f7, or maybe bishop e6 immediately. I mean, he wanted to have his bishop outside the pawn structure before he puts the knight on d7. Maybe this is what he wanted to do. It's an acceptable thought. I wouldn't say it's just that he's not, I mean, purposeful. I mean, that he has some purpose in his play. He wants to have the bishop outside the structure. I mean, he likes activity. So, okay, in this moment I played rook f1, and I can explain why I played this move, because I want to push c5. And when he plays d5, I want to take, and then e5 is hanging, yes? Knight to d7, he protects. But in any case, I go c5 now, because d5 is impossible. After d5, I will take, and bishop takes h7, and he's losing the pawn. So we finally managed to get a position where white has some pull, because now the pawns are just weak, and I only have to be somehow finding the best plan to apply pressure on these two pawns. And well, one way is maybe to double my rooks there and put the bishop on a3, but I always have to be careful about this knight b6 move, because if he changes one pair of knights, then he's also getting some possibility to play a4 and obtain some counterplay himself. So okay, I just decided first of all to block these pawns.
I thought maybe we can play bishop f1 to play bishop a3, because if we play directly bishop a3, probably there is c4. I'm not sure, but maybe. If we put our bishop on f1 and then bishop a3 and rook a c1, and probably he cannot protect the c5 pawn, and we will take it like Nimzo Indian. I don't know what you
yes, well, I don't know if after bishop a3 he has c4. Maybe I just take on e7 and I'm better. I'm in this position with opposite colored bishops. C d3, queen d3, and white looks a bit better in any case. But I just followed an Nimzovidian rule that you first blockade the weakness and then you try to destroy it. It was just, I'm following my principles, in fact. So I didn't try to calculate so much in this position. Because actually he had taken me by surprise in the opening with his choice of specific choice of variation in the can. So I thought a lot in the opening, and so I was wasting time. And here I tried to be some more practical by playing bishop c4, in fact. And but maybe you're right. Maybe bishop f1 is a very nice move, and who knows? Maybe I can also try to put pressure on the a5 pawn by such a move like bishop c3 and knight b2 and knight c4. Maybe your idea also contains some poison. In any case, okay, I played this bishop c4, he played rook fd8, I played f3, bishop h5, and I was happy here because he needs so many moves to bring this bishop back from exile. Now it's exiled on h5. I mean, it doesn't have any contact with the play on the critical sector, which is the queen side, and of course he needs now to move king, play f6, and still the bishop isn't going to f7, which is the square he would like to put it. I mean, to challenge the square in front of the doubled pawns, yes? So, okay, I played queen f2. I don't know if it is the best move, but it's logical. Bishop g6, and then rook a d1. King h8, rook d3. If he is too slow, I will double the rooks, and he will face a lot of problems, because, okay, for the moment this knight on d7 is not going anywhere, and because knight b6 I take, and then I take the pawn on e5, which is the very vital pawn in the position. This pawn is more important actually than the doubled c pawns. So I'm just trying to double the rooks and put a lot of pressure on him because the queen is overloaded. It has to defend the b6 square, the e5 square, c5 is weak always, so I'm just trying to exploit this fact by doubling my rooks on the critical d file. So f6, bishop c3, and okay, I think here it was time for him to play knight b6. I didn't see any better move, and probably the position is just worse for black no matter what he plays, so he played knight b6. He wants to free himself. I took, he took, knight takes b6, queen takes b6, and here I decided, before of course reaching this position the decision was made, that I will go for the Karpovian approach of exchanging pieces, because I thought that then all his weaknesses remain and he can never shake my control over the c4 square. Actually the pawn is not really important, the minus pawn that white has, but the pressure persists until very deeply into the ending. This was my main idea, and I just said, why not rook d1? I mean, what is he doing?
Maybe we can fix the weakness on a5 with a4.
Maybe it was better, because in this particular moment probably you are right, the best move was a4, but I decided to play rook d1 on general principles because I didn't want to let him get the file by rook d8. But maybe you are right, because the d file is not so important. In any case, I can challenge it later on by moving my queen to c2 and play rook d1. Then he's left with this very weakness on a5 that I want to attack later on. And as we will see, it's very important for white to utilize the space on the king side, and I didn't use the space on the king side so well. Probably I should have done what you said, a4 was probably the best move. But I did this. Now I think it was a unique chance for him to play a4 and maybe reduce my pressure, actually. But he didn't use it because he intended to exchange everything and just make a draw. He felt that he will defend all weaknesses. So I just took, and the main point of taking is that I try to just attack this pawn on a5. If he plays queen takes, then queen e1. And the pawn is lost, and white is winning. So I think this was a good move that I took, because he's forced to take with the bishop. And here we reached a very crucial moment that I didn't understand what to do. I mean, I knew that I had to take space, but this was very general. I mean, I didn't understand what I had to do tactically and in the accurate sense. And here there is a very strong move for white which I missed. This strong move is king f1. This is unbelievable move. When you are doing this move, you are keeping temporarily the pressure on him on c5, and you are also, in a sense, you are covering your king. You are covering the e1 square. In some lines this could prove useful, in fact. And in general, okay, this is very useful move because the king has to lead itself to the queen side in any case, because on the king side you want to attack. You want to use the space with the pawns to stifle his own king. Let's see why this move is good. After king here, it's very hard for black to move. I mean, what does he do actually? If he goes bishop c7 to cover the d6 square, because sometimes I want to invade this square with my queen, to play queen d2 and queen d6 and try to penetrate via f8. So if he plays bishop c7, then I play this move in any case. I want to enter from d7. He has to play bishop e8. And now I come very fast on the king side with g4, and he doesn't have time to block me. This is one of the main points, because if he plays g5, I have h4, and he's already very close to losing, yes? The queen is totally out of play on b6, and maybe my own queen will have a chance to penetrate. And sometimes I can even sacrifice something. For example, let's say, okay, I haven't analyzed this position, but I have the feeling that I did all things good here, because of course if he plays h5 I have g5, And now I just want to take and deliver mate on h6. And if he plays g5, probably I can play even here. Now I see it. Because if he plays gf, tell me, what do I do now?
Queen f4.
Oh yes, this guy is strong. My goodness. Yes, this is true.
Perfect.
Queen f4 and wins. I have this idea now because I had a similar idea which I used in the game. I played f4 at some point, but I didn't do it under the best possible circumstances. So actually here this is very dangerous for black, but then what else can he do? I mean, the queen cannot go back to c7 because I take c5, and we just looked at bishop c7, so okay, let's see if he tries to play maybe bishop e8 immediately. But then I have this tempo, I want queen d6. Again, I think it's something similar if he plays bishop c7, so let him try queen c7 now to defend. But then again I have fantastic deflection, and now we see why the move king e1, king f1 was important. It was covering e1 square. When queen takes on a5, you play queen d6 and you deliver mate.
But it's
really surreal,
yeah.
Unreal, inhuman, Karpovian.
Yeah.
This is fantastic move king f1.
Yeah, it's too deep.
Yes, so that's why I didn't see it, because I'm not such a deep player like Mr. Karpov. So, okay, this explains why I played just the Mick queen d2 here. Mick queen d2, and now somehow he can defend himself. He played queen c7. Now I don't have the bishop takes a5 move, unfortunately, because mate is pending on e1, and what can I do? I just tried to follow my plan and take the space, so I played g4 move. But here things were not as easy as I had expected. Actually he played h5, h3, king h7, and he's not so bad now. I mean, he's trying to build a formation where he will later push the pawn to g5 and try to achieve a blockade. But in doing so, he has to be all the time careful about my f4 break, because this f4 sacrifice when black gets his pawn to g5 attacks e5 and g5, and no matter how black takes back, he's opening one way for my e or g pawn to advance, and then he has to be careful that these advances don't lead to checkmate. So okay, I just played now king f1, too late. Bishop e8, king e2, hg, hg. Black should hold actually this position, but he has to be very careful not to allow f4, which actually he did on a couple of occasions, but as we will see, I didn't manage to take advantage of it. So I played king d1, played king g7, king c2, king f8. I tried to penetrate, he came back, I came here, queen d6, king b2. I have some plan to try to attack the a5 pawn, but it's not really a dangerous plan, because when I will bring my king to a4, he will be defending it somehow with the queen on c7, and when I put my queen to e1 to take this pawn, and I managed to take on a5 after all, he will pin me with queen a7, and then I cannot make any progress. This is the really dangerous situation for white. I mean, that he suddenly gets stuck with the king on a4 and the bishop on a5 and the queen on e1 protecting this bishop, but black just has his queen on a7 and bishop on d8, and I don't progress anymore. So this is, I have to be careful not to do this. I'm just trying to scare maybe my opponent with this threat. As they say, the threat is stronger than its execution. In this particular case, this dictum really is applying. So okay, in any case, my king has to be away from the king side, so I just decided to take it on the left side.
If we trade the queens, we will win the game, yeah? Because king a3, king a4, and
yes,
we will take
if I trade the queens, I will win the game.
Okay.
But he doesn't.
Yeah, of course.
Agree to that.
Yeah, but I know too long, but can we try, for example, queen d2, queen c7, and queen d3, and then I want to play bishop e6, queen a6 and queen c8. I know it's too long, but playing static position maybe...
Yes, this is an interesting plan, but when you will get there, maybe he will play bishop... Ah, you mean queen d3? Yeah, it's a clever idea, and when he makes bishop d7 move to prevent, then you take on a5, deflecting his queen. Yeah, maybe it's possible, maybe it's possible. I didn't calculate it so deeply as you are saying now, but maybe it's possible. But the reason I didn't calculate it so deeply is that I had spent so much time in the opening phase of the game that here I was in time pressure and I was trying to get myself over move 40 and then to get the extra 15 minutes and with the increments try to formulate a new plan. So okay, I just tried to pass the time control. I played king b2, he played bishop b6, I played king a3. Actually these moves don't have so much importance. And well, maybe the way he posted the pieces, now he gives an answer to your plan. Now I don't have any more the deflection. He posted his pieces in such a way that when I try to enter there, he will play bishop d7 and prevent the bishop e6 move. So it's not so clear what will happen now. Actually, look, he did it. Bishop d7, and now I don't have the bishop e6 move, but last move of time control, and I missed a brilliant winning idea here. Again, it's associated with f4. Look, I played queen d2 because it was move 40, but this was winning. The thing here is that his queen, when he puts bishop on d7, is cut from the king side. So if he takes with this pawn, then I have e5, he must take queen b2, very nice move. He cannot protect anymore this pawn with the bishop. So the king moves forward and suddenly the queen switches on the other side. And now it turns out that the black king is completely helpless against the attack of queen and two minor pieces.
And after king g7 we will play...
Yes, exactly, because he moved bishop to d7 to prevent your plan with bishop e6. So this is winning for white. Queen penetrates to h5 after king g7 and the game is over. Hitting both f7 square and g5 pawn. After queen d2, my opponent took new heart. He went there. Maybe here I could play your plan, but I didn't see something very clear. Maybe you are right, maybe there is something, but I was trying maybe to lure him into making a big mistake and win the game directly. So I didn't try the bishop e6 move, but I played queen d3, also, which keeps options.
Sorry. Also, I saw another idea similar to the other one, bishop e2, queen d3, queen a6.
Yes, this is possible.
I want to play queen a8, bishop c4. Probably I can take a5.
Maybe, yes, maybe you're right, but okay, so in this moment, queen d2, bishop e8, let's say, okay, I didn't find f4, and now you want to put the bishop to e2, yes? Let's try. So bishop e2. Could it be some danger now with the move c4? I wonder. Maybe this is the explanation that I didn't play it.
Probably.
And okay, I'm not 100% sure, by the way. Maybe your line is working. Because c4, bishop takes c4, and of course it would be a mistake by him to give c5 check, because then I play bishop b5 and suddenly my king penetrates, I get all the light squares. But maybe I was just afraid to let him push c4 and then stay like this, because, okay, in a way, then maybe later he can use this c5 check according to circumstance, or maybe I was afraid of the fact that the bishop on b6 gets now some activity. I mean, it's not a dead piece anymore.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, but this is under discussion, of course. Maybe you are right. Maybe it was an interesting possibility, bishop e2. So, okay, he played this. I played queen d1, bishop e8. He's trying to maybe force a repetition or something. I decided to come back because I didn't see any prospect of taking the a5 pawn. Maybe the only way to try to take it is, as you said, by penetrating first with the queen to a6 or a8 and then try to take it. But okay, in this moment I was not very much liking to move this bishop from c4. So I decided to continue by moving back and forth. And here is the second time that he makes the same mistake, and still I don't play f4. Still I think it's winning.
I think this is easier than the other one because
Yes.
after g takes f4 we have g5 and queen h5
Yes.
directly.
You're right. Well, here I'm inexcusable. Actually, here I should have played this. e4 is forced, e5, fe5, and queen takes d7. And the game is over. I just show the line for demonstration purposes. And when queen takes e5, queen takes d7 check, and black can resign. I mean, the king is too exposed. My own king is very safe, and his own king is very exposed. I mean, I will put my bishop on d3, threatening mate on h7, and whenever he plays queen g7, just queen e6 is mate.
Yeah. Also, you have same idea, which is we were playing queen b2 and queen h2. Now we can play queen a1 and queen h4.
Yes,
maybe.
yes, I have the same ideas, but it's not necessary because bishop takes e5 wins immediately. So, I got too old maybe for tactics, yes? Queen d3 back, what am I doing? Bishop c8, bishop d2, queen e7, bishop e3. Well, I was hoping maybe here he will take on c4 and then he will be left with a much inferior bishop, but okay, he wants to allow the exchange only on his own terms. If I take, and then he takes with the queen and he controls c4. But of course, okay, no. Now he went back. Some moves were played here. Along this sequence, I checked, and I'm not winning somewhere probably. Queen e1, queen c7, bishop d2, queen d8, bishop c3, king b2, bishop d7, and finally I am making the sacrifice under the worst possible circumstances. I mean, when I have my king on a3 and he has bishop on d7, it should win because I push e5 and then I have the queen a1 move. But for some reason I got down to 1 minute here and I decided to play it only now. And now it's not winning because black has an only move. Both captures are losing, but he had an only move. Can you see which one it is?
This is hard to defend.
The move is counterintuitive, actually. This is why he didn't play it. He had more time than me, actually. But, well, actually, when you get such a position, you don't want to create more weaknesses. You are trying to find maybe that your opponent blundered in playing f4. So he didn't play the move queen d6, which was the only way to hold the position.
To play bishop d8, yeah?
Because he thought, no, after I take, for example, e5, he takes with pawn, and it's not easy to attack all these weaknesses. I somehow got surprised after the game when I was checking that the machine gives that it's only 0.80 for white, and actually this is not a winning 0.8. It's just an optically better position. It looks pleasant, but it's not winning.
Yeah.
For example, we can switch on the engine here. Queen d6 is the only move. Takes, takes, and this position is not winning. If you put stockfish here, you will see that he can always defend it.
Maybe because of bishop c7, because when we play queen g3, he has bishop c7 now.
So you want to play queen g3?
Yeah, and now he has bishop c7.
Bishop c7, of course. And he even has bishop d8. If you take the pawn, the king is on b2. But okay, this is circumstantial, that the king is on. Essentially, he has this, yes. This, and it's very hard to make headway now. Somehow he has 4 weaknesses on the 4th rank and I cannot win. It's shocking. At least for my own understanding of chess.
Yeah, but maybe in practical game you can win.
Yes, maybe I can win, but there are not so many threats. I think he can maybe blunder something. But if he is a little bit cautious, I don't think this can be won. Especially, I mean, if he has 4 or 5 minutes, which he had, by the way. But maybe he thought that I blundered, and he played in this moment g4, of course not ef4, because after ef4 I push e5, yes? It's the usual thing, and he's lost. It's immediate resignation. So he played in this moment gf4 instead of the right move queen d6. So this is what happened. Just a moment. Yes. And now the queen penetrates. Now it's a sequence of only moves. This is what I like about this game. White plays only moves from now on and he's winning. Every other move he's losing, apart from what I did. So I go queen h4. Threat is g5. He has to play queen d8. This staves off apparently g5. But I go g5 in any case. Of course he has to take it because otherwise I give check on h6 and it's checkmate. I take on e5 with check, another only move, everything else was losing. King comes up to g6 and spectators were a bit mystified because they said, okay, what the guy is doing, he's crazy, I mean everything is protected and he just sacrificed all his king side. But here lies the point that somehow white has this move which makes fantastic use of the momentum. I mean, its momentum is something like a flow of a river. I mean, and this is the kind of position that it is really a momentum that decides the game. So when you have checks, just give them. He has to take it, and now queen penetrates. And what I like about this position is that the queen controls the white squares and the bishop controls the dark square. So it's a very nice combination of two pieces that decides the outcome. Of course, he cannot put his king on e8 because queen g6 check and then bishop d6 mate, yes? So okay, he came here. And now we use the fantastic e4 pawn, which helps the queen to control more light squares. King e7 only move, check. King e8 only move, check, and I reached the desired position. Okay, here actually he played on queen e7, but I was not going to take the queen even if it's winning. Of course, I used this check, and here black resigned.
Now I understood that why did you play e4?
Yes, e4 is the best by test, as Fischer used to say.
Okay.
By the way, I didn't ask you, are you an e4 or d4 player?
I used to play e4, but now I play d4.
Good. It's more possibilities, if we want to be fair.
Yeah.
I don't now, after so many years of playing chess, fully agree with Fischer, to be honest, because I believe that e4 has been explored more. It's not that it's not complicated, but it has been explored more, and so people know how to face it in a better manner, I think.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. Okay, it was really instructive game, and it was like Karpovian game because you move to your king to other side and you play on the other side. And
but I didn't play as tactically well as Karpov would play, I think. I think he would find king f1, to be honest.
Maybe, yeah, probably. It was good to see that king was on the g1 to a4 to take a5 pawn. And okay, you couldn't take a5 pawn, but anyway, you found f4. It was good to see that this game. Again, thank you for this game and thank you for coming.
Thank you also for inviting me. I thank you once more, and I have to say that I fulfilled at least the dictum that if you get one and second chance, at least the third time I found f4 somehow. If I didn't find for third time, I would be inexcusable.
We will also prepare a video series for our website. So thank you again.
Thank you too.
See you next videos.